Mr Peter Varghese, Presiding Officer, Professor Deborah Terry, Vice-Chancellor and President, thank you for the lovely lead into what I'm going to talk about today. That was wonderful. Mr Joshua Bennett-Jones, valedictorian, congratulations. Distinguished guests, and then most of all, graduates. So 18 years ago, I was sitting where you are, hot, uncomfortable, thinking how sexy this outfit looked and wondering where I could get one for later on, contemplating where I was going to go and what was going to be happening, and also contemplating the journey that actually got you to sitting where you are today. That all the things that happened through that process. I was wondering how long until the formalities were going to be over, and I was also starting to wonder, was the beer cold and where was our first one coming from? Now, in my short time since graduating, I've been lucky enough to travel a fair bit of the world. I've been lucky enough to work with some really wonderful people in agriculture, which is the main field I operate in. And I've got to see some pretty amazing things. And I've learned a little bit in that short time. And I asked myself, what would be useful? What would be one thing that might be useful to you here as a graduate today that you might be able to take into your life to set you up for a win? So, if there was just one thing that I was going to say to you, the one thing that I'd say is to make sure you focus on being a human being. And by saying that, I want to differentiate being a human being from a human doing. So in the advisory work and the time I spend working with people in all different facets, I meet a lot of people that are busy doing. They're busy doing to have things. They want to have this, so I do this. I want to have that, so I do a bit more. And they forget about this little thing about being the person you want to be. Now, identifying who you want to be and identifying your vision in life is probably some of the hardest work that you're going to do. However, I'd encourage you to start chipping away at that if that's not an area that you're clear on, because it's probably the most important work that you can do as well, is to identify who you are. And one strategy that I find quite useful, which can be a little confronting, is to write your own eulogy. So hopefully, at a point somewhere a long way in the future, when somebody that you've got a great deal of respect or love for is there recounting the journey of your life, what is it that you want them to say about you? Do you want them to sit there and go, thank God David's gone? He was a cranky bastard, didn't want to spend any time with him anyway. Or is there something else? What would you like them to say? And that's a really nice point to get clear on, because that is that human being. What do you want to be remembered for? And I guarantee you they won't remember you for the car you had or the house you had. They'll remember you for the person that you were to them. If there's one other thing that I could get you to focus on, it is about focus. And I want to go back to probably a good 22 years ago when I was playing rugby here. And I'm very grateful that our coach brought in a sports psychologist to talk to us. And one of the things that this sports psych talked to us about was the focus on what it is that you can control. Focus on those things that sit inside your circle of influence, those things that you can have some ability to influence and control, not those things that sit outside it. Now, particularly in agriculture, we spend a lot of time looking at those things that are outside of our locus of influence and outside our locus of control. We worry about weather, we worry about prices, we worry about government, we worry about interest rates, over which we don't have a lot of influence. So therefore, your return on investment from focusing on that is not a lot. So back to this sports psych talking to us about this concept, he drilled it into us as this group of young, highly easily influenced people that, let's face the reality, the ref is going to make a call that you don't agree with. Let's be real about this. You are going to knock the ball on. Things are going to happen. However, you can't change that. You can't control that decision. I'm yet to see a ref's decision overturned in that moment by whinging to him. However, what you can control is that next play. Now, to my knowledge, we're the last team to win a grand final and to actually go through and get a premiership here. I mean, no pressure, guys, on what you've been doing, but we're the last ones to go through, and I still keep in touch with that group of friends from back then, and we put a lot of it back to, that was drilled into us to focus on what it is we can control. Don't worry about whinging, don't worry about that, focus on what you can do. So take that forward and focus on what it is that you want. Where you put your focus is going to influence what you see. So be really careful what you're looking for, because it's going to change the way you see the world. If there was one thing I could give you, it would be to give the professional response, not the popular response. Now, people might not feel that comfortable in that moment when you say something that might not be what they want to hear. However, at the end of the day, people don't like a yes person, somebody just agrees with everything. So they might not like it in that point in time, but I guarantee you they will respect you for being an individual and having your own opinion. So stay true to that. And back to what I thank Deborah for her comments before. Be willing to have those hard conversations, whether it be in your personal or your professional life. Have those hard conversations, because I can guarantee you they don't go away. And if we don't address them, if we don't get on and actually have that conversation, they just get more difficult. So be that professional person that's willing to do that. If there's one thing I could give you, pick up the phone. You're coming to the end of what's been a pretty golden era in your life, where you've been spending time and you can hear the yahooing and obviously the friendships that have come out of this journey with your mates here. And it's pretty special, isn't it? You want to go to Brisbane, you want to go to Toowoomba and catch up, and it's a matter of, well, which day or which weekend are we going to go and catch up? That's about to become which month or which year can we actually get together as that group of friends and catch up. So it's been a really special time. So be that person that gets on the phone. Be that person that ties in going to see your friends when you go on work trips. Be that person that gets people together. Because when it comes to relationships, if you're not investing in them, if you're not working on them, they are degrading. There's no middle ground on this one. So if you want to have a good relationship with the people around you, that onus responsibility is actually on you. Now, if I could go back and give the advice to myself here 18 years ago, there's a few things we'd have a pretty serious chat about. There's a few things I'd probably give myself a bit of a kick up the bum about. It wouldn't be about getting good at evading security guards when we were playing up. Sorry, mate. I can see him over there. Hope you weren't here then. It wouldn't be about tipping over dairy cows after midnight. It wouldn't be about using circle work as a soil aeration technique in Forry Hill in the backyard. But they're sorts of things that you're going to look back on, and whatever your journey, whatever your version of that is, you're going to look back on that and it's part of your life and it's a bit of fun. But one thing I would look back on and change would be my next number one thing, and that's to pay yourself first. So from here on in, what I'd encourage you to do, a minimum of 10% of everything you earn, put that into a savings or investment. Pay yourself first and live off what's left. And I want to acknowledge Don Cameron, one of my lecturers here, who put me onto this book, Richest Man in Babylon and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I still recommend to everybody that I meet to read those. I just wish I'd listened to Donnie and done something about that book and hadn't waited years to do it. It's one of my regrets. So take what you like from that. The next number one thing I'd give you is pick your team wisely. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So surround yourself and spend time with, whether that be remotely or in person, with people that are going to lift you up, people that are going to inspire you, and people that are going to hold you to account for the bullshit you're going to come up with at times. So surround yourself with those people that are going to call you out on the things that you need calling out on, because we need that at times. We need to be kept on track. Pick your mentors really carefully. And you don't have to go up to people and say, would you be my mentor? You don't have to be that formal about it. But have people in your profession as you go forward that you can jump on the phone or go and see and say, can I just run this past you? It's invaluable, and I've found that good people are always willing to help good people and impart their wisdom and advice. So don't be afraid about that, but surround yourself with those people. What it comes back to is asking for help, which leads to my next number one, nearly my last one, is to assume that you're wrong. One of the biggest mistakes we can make is thinking that we know everything. And what I find every month of every year, every time I learn something or read something, every time you learn something new, you realise there's so much stuff you don't know. Now, it's easy to get daunted by that, but I think we've got to get excited about that. That in these professions, in sciences, we can never know everything. There's so many things that we're not going to understand and know for our whole lives. And geez, that's exciting. Because we're never going to get bored. We never get to that point of saturation going, well, I know everything there is. So keep learning, keep reading. If you don't keep reading and you don't keep on listening to books and expanding, you will be static in your career. I won't employ people who don't keep reading and they don't keep progressing through the ranks. So be that person who keeps on expanding, which means that you might need to unlearn some stuff. And that can be uncomfortable, but it's really healthy. So be willing to unlearn what it is you believe to be right to learn something new. If I could give you one thing, is to become the best version of yourself. So I'm going to encourage you to develop good habits now. So for most of you, it's going to come as a bit of a shock that this wonderful invincibility cloak of youth that you wear so wonderfully, it's going to fade. You're going to reach that point in time where you just don't bounce back quite as quick. Things just take a little bit longer. So I challenge you to start to develop habits now, to develop that discipline of habits now. They're going to allow you to be more productive. habits that are going to be enjoyable, and habits that are going to allow you to be more healthy going forward. Your future self will thank you for decades and decades and decades to come. So create those habits. So what's your number one? What's that one thing that you're going to focus on doing? And it comes back to you guys. What is your responsibility? Because you can't expect anybody else now to do the work for you. It's up to you to find your path, find your journey, but find that way that you can pave that path and live that journey in a way that works for you. So tread your own path, and congratulations on getting to this point. I wish you all the best, and I encourage you now to go and think about what your desired future is and make that your current reality. Thank you.